Guyana's independence has been at the center of the many successes the country has achieved over the years. On InfoHub In-Depth this week, we take you through the successes the country has seen since independence, the journey to independence, and just what that liberation means for Guyanese.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
52 years after loosening ties from British rule, Guyana stands as a proud independent nation, having overcome some major social, economic, and political challenges. The land of many waters, as it is known to the world, is comprised of 6 races. It stands as an impressive multicultural society. The expectation of political freedom and stability, national unity, and social and economic progress has been realized, although not without its minor setbacks. A 2003 media release from the then opposition People's National Congress defined independence as creating multiracialism as the basis for sustaining equality of opportunity, upholding the rule of law as an important foundation for providing security and enhancing people's quality of life. Without these, it said, independence represents nothingness. Since 1966, Guyana commenced the back-breaking journey towards self-reliance. The country saw an opening to political rights, parliamentary democracy, and civil liberties. The creation of a strong macroeconomic environment to facilitate market and economic growth, along with the setting up of social services for all Guyanese, was also a great achievement. The allocation of house lots became a regular practice of the government. There has also been a special emphasis on health, education, and drainage and irrigation. The democratic thrust and gains over the decades has given significance to the word independence, and these gains are being consolidated and sustained to benefit all Guyanese.
Fast forward 52 years, Guyana is under the stewardship of the Partnership for National Unity Alliance for Change government, which is improving on these successes and developments.
Independence Day celebrates the moment in history when, after 350 years of Dutch and British colonization, our peoples abolished foreign rule. We established a free state with the hope of ensuring equality and eradicating poverty. It was the day on which we adopted our own constitution and erected institutions to govern ourselves and to guarantee our freedom.
President David Granger believes in equal opportunities. Looking ahead, he said that a nation's stability will depend on political inclusiveness. According to him, the Free State, which was attained on May 26, 1966, was the first step to achieving social cohesion.
The Free State is one that is free from discrimination. It is one that is built on the basis of respect for cultural diversity, political inclusivity, and social equality. The Free State recognizes our common and complex heritage. It reminds us of Chinese Arrival Day, celebrated on the 12th of January, of Portuguese Arrival Day, celebrated on the 3rd of May, of Indian Arrival Day, celebrated on the 5th of May, of African Emancipation Day, celebrated on the 1st of August, and of Indigenous Heritage Month, observed throughout September.
But while there have been many gains over the years for the Cooperative Republic, issues still needed to be addressed. Among them was social cohesion, which the current administration saw as a major obstacle to development. The government in 2015 established the first ever social cohesion ministry, which immediately embarked on a nationwide mission to unite Guyanese. Minister of Social Cohesion, Dr. George Norton, said Guyanese must respect the beliefs and customs of each other in order to achieve true cohesion.
For us to become truly united as a people, we must first be cognizant and fully comfortable and aware of who we are as individuals. The key to us embracing diversity and promoting tolerance is to be proud of ourselves, of our culture, to be proud of our traditions, ethnicities, religions, and all the things that make us who we are as individuals. From that, we can begin to appreciate the differences and similarity of those around us.
With social cohesion also came a push for local democracy. Guyanese needed to take ownership of their communities and play a significant role in their development. The government therefore restored local government elections, which had for over 2 decades been more or less abandoned. Minister of Communities Ronald Bilkin described local democracy as pivotal to the nation's further development.
Communities countrywide now have, after a period of over 2 decades, democratically elected councils which have the responsibility to manage and develop their respective areas. Given the strategic commitment of the government of Guyana on the role of local government in national development, that the ministry's work program acknowledges the need for our local democratic organs to be better resourced, organized, and structured to be effective in the discharge of constitutional roles and any further devolved functions.
Guyana's independence allowed it to make great strides in education. Some of its greatest minds have even contributed to the development of other countries. The government believes the youth are the future of Guyana. Therefore, providing them with the tools needed to take the country further is vital.
You are the future of our country. And if we don't look after you, if we don't make sure that you have the tools to administer this great country, we would have failed in our duty. This has been done to ensure that children could get to school and learn their lessons. But the aim is not just to provide a bus. I'm not here to give you a bus. I'm here to ensure that there's equality in this country. And I believe that this country can never be truly equal unless children had equal access to education.
Infrastructural developments have been progressing at a rapid rate with the establishment of 2 international airports, the installation of 4 pedestrian overpasses, work under the new Kitty Roundabout, the 4-lane expansion of the East Bank Demerara Road, the construction and repair of several villages and urban roads. There are also plans to have a new Demerara Harbour Bridge, which will soon be constructed. An ongoing US $150 million expansion and upgrade project of the Chedi Jagan International Airport is expected to yield 4 air passenger boarding bridges, a 450-person sitting departure area, escalators and elevators, in addition to an extended runway that will cater for larger categories of aircraft. Among the more recent achievements is the reinforcement of the rule of law, which has seen the establishment of the State's Assets Recovery Unit, the operationalization of the Special Organized Crime Unit, the appointment of an ombudsman, and the reconstitution of the judicial service. These are some of the many blessings of independence. It has allowed for the country to take control of its own businesses without interference from a second or third party.
The economic prospect of the country now looks clear. In 2 years' time, Guyana will see a transformation like no other when it commences the production of oil. Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman said that this will allow for massive transformational development of our nation in the coming years.
At this juncture in our national development, being at a place where we will travel on a fast and furious trajectory, we don't want simply to be known as an oil-producing nation, but rather as a country that took its resources and revenues and used them to fashion and carve a nation that is geographically and strategically positioned to produce the food that is required and will be required for the 48 million people who are projected to inhabit the Caribbean by 2050.
Guyana is not leaving itself out from the global technological advancements. The government has committed to providing internet access and computers to all Guyanese, including those in the remote regions. To date, there are over 100 information and communication technology hubs established countrywide. Government agencies, computer labs, staff rooms, and administrative offices in 102 secondary schools and technical vocational institutes now have access to free internet. ICT has become the main ingredient for development globally and a means to ensuring Guyana is not left behind.
If you are interested in an area of study, whether you're a student, whether you are a woman starting a business, whether you are a mechanic that is providing repair services for automobiles or for cars, and you want to know how to fix a particular model of a car, or you want to research a problem, if you have health issues and you want to understand what is wrong, what the questions you could ask a doctor when you go to visit, the internet and the wide body of information on the internet allows you to develop as a person and to educate yourself.
There has also been a focus on encouraging women and girls to develop their capacity in information communication technology and to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-related fields. Beside the launch of the Guyanese Girls Code, which teaches young girls coding and programming, a Girls in ICT Day was hosted on April 26 for 15 to 22-year-olds. The event was designed to provide high school and tertiary level students with interactive hands-on experience using digital tools to solve social and even economic challenges.
Independence is no ordinary thing. Guyanese are thrilled at the opportunities the country has had over the years.
Personally, I would say we would have progressed it very beautifully. I was born around that time. I am 52 plus, so that tells a story. I am of the opinion, or it's my view, that as Guyanese, we would have progressed in a wonderful way. We would have had our challenges, and people may say different things from time to time, but I am of the opinion that we would have progressed beautifully over the years.
Out of the acquisition of oil, I can see it's doing better for Guyana in terms of getting closer to what we say the first world countries have achieved. We would be able to achieve very many things, better roads, better infrastructure, because there now you have the money and you take that money and you invest it in the country.
I feel it's a good thing because after Guyana gained its independence, the country is progressing.
So far, I don't feel it's a bad thing, you know what I mean? We celebrate the independence after so long. You know, it's nice that we are celebrating something still to get ourselves together as Guyanese people.
However, the glorious opportunities now afforded Guyanese were not always there. Those who lived through the years prior to independence knew it all too well. There was no room for elevation, but independence was on the horizon, as a number of Commonwealth and Caribbean countries were already given their liberation from Britain.
Former Presidents Lyndon Forbes, Sampson Burnham, and Dr. Cheddi Jagan were championing the cause for Guyana's independence for many years. There was also Stephen Campbell, the Amerindian leader, who went to England on the country's behalf.
We were expecting this freedom, this independence, for a long time, 5 years maybe. Other countries had already gotten their independence. In the Commonwealth, you had, of course, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. You had, in Africa, you had Ghana, Uganda, and those other countries. In the Caribbean, Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, they got their independence before us. So we were expecting this for a long, long time. So there was this euphoria, if you will, when the day was dawning, a week before, 5 days before, a day before, and then bang on the night in question. It was such a euphoria.
The grand flag raising ceremony was held at the then Queen Elizabeth Park, now National Park. A then 19-year-old Wim Boy, who is now Guyana's Prime Minister, reflects on that historic night of May 25.
I remember the big radio set. It might have been big like this. It was called Philips. And battery, a big battery, like a tractor battery. And so we were listening to the live coverage of the independence celebrations in Georgetown. I was in Berbice, in my home village, Wim, and I was glued to the radio, listening to the voices of the most remarkable broadcasters and analysts at that time. Recall Rafi Khan and Vic Insanali relaying what was happening at the National Park. And it was there that the golden arrowhead was being hoisted for the first time. So I recall the sound of jubilation, the sound of elation, and I try to have that in my mind's eye to picture graphically what's happening. And I believe, apart from an announcement that the flag had been hoisted by a team that had visited or had gone to Guyana or among Roraima, I believe, there was also, and there was a report that was being broadcast or sent in by whatever means that the flag had been hoisted at the top of the crest of our highest mountain. I also remember, apart from the hoisting of the flag at the National Park, a significant event that was very emotional for me, and I believe for most Guyanese, was when Forbes Burnham, the then Prime Minister, and Chetty Jagan, they embraced. And I believe that the embrace between those two nationalist leaders had become symbolic of the unity we wanted to see in Guyana among our people. And so I think that on the night of May 25th, 1966, it has brought just for that occasion a scintilla of hope, a scintilla of pride, a sense that we were no longer British subjects, we were no longer British objects.
And that night, I took the National Park. Another irony is, I think they call it the Queen Elizabeth National Park. Before that, it was the golf ground. And ordinary Guyanese couldn't go there, Georgetown National Park. You know, you couldn't get in there long ago. No, the white people used to play golf. And you couldn't get in there except to search for the balls and so on. But then Burnham said, Queen Elizabeth National Park, after our head of state, who was the Queen still, although we were becoming independent. So that night, thousands upon thousands all across the country, and you had the midnight hour, and Lieutenant Colonel was Desmond Roberts, lowering and raising the golden arrowhead.
That was well-known columnist Alan Fenty reflecting on the historic day, May 25th, 1966. Other well-known personalities who had vividly recalled the time is veteran journalist and playwright Francis Kwame Farrier.
The announcement that Guyana is now free. We have dropped the British. It's no longer British G-U-I-A-N-A. It is now G-U-Y-A-N-A, the independent country. We are our own masters. We will make decisions for ourselves, for our country. And the fanfare, the singing, the dancing, the jollification, as we would say, you get goose pimples.
With independence came the termination of more than a century and a half of British colonial administrative rule. With independence also came the creation of Guyana's coat of arms, one of several symbols of nationhood. Designed by a special committee, it bears the pride of the country's fauna life, two jaguars holding stems of rice and sugar cane and facing each other proudly across a painted shield, on top of which rests a visored helmet, topped by the feathered crown of an Amerindian chieftain. Beneath a scroll-like banner boldly proclaims the nation's motto, "One people, one nation, one destiny." Independence brought with it our national flag, the golden arrowhead with each color, red, white, yellow, green and black, symbolizing a unique feature of Guyana. Then there was the new national anthem, which became a proud feature of independence. Reverend Archibald Luker wrote the words of Green Land of Guyana. The title of the national anthem is appropriate and expressive of color and vitality, and the land of fertility. Among those who witnessed the highly significant and unique ceremony were the Duke and the Duchess of Kent, the first Governor-General, former Conservative Colonial Secretary Mr. Duncan Sandys, and Colonial Secretary Mr. Anthony Greenwood, and 62 delegates drawn from 47 countries worldwide.
My parents, my siblings, we were all prepared and preparing to be down at the National Park. At that time, it wasn't called the National Park. It was known as the Queen Elizabeth Park. Of course, that name was given during the colonial times. So the entire day couldn't go fast enough for us to get down to the National Park, the then Queen Elizabeth Park, to see all the official happenings. So it was this big entertainment. You had the parade, the police, the military people, the military bands, the choirs, and it was a grand event in which it was the official part with the fireworks, the raising of the Guyana flag, the lowering of the British flag, which was called the Union Jack, and ours was called the Golden Arrowhead. And I mean, it was tremendous. And anyone who was fortunate to have been alive and at the then National Queen Elizabeth Park, now the National Park, would have recalled that feeling where your heart was pumping twice as fast, and the joy and the pride that after all these years of being a colonial people.
Before Guyana achieved its independence, the policy speech that outlined government's policies and plans was read in the chamber of what was then the Legislative Assembly by the governor, the British monarch's representative. The celebration of the independent nation lasted some 4 days. Undoubtedly, the expectations of all Guyanese were very high, and they certainly had every right to be. Guyana's Prime Minister for this part expressed high optimism when he said, quote, "Thus our journeying to independence have ended. We face, however, the harder but more emotionally satisfying and definitely more self-respecting task of making Guyana great among the nations, the task of building a free and a just society." This year, Guyana's independence celebration has taken a little twist. President David Granger had called for the involvement of as many young people as possible. Instead of the usual 12 a.m. flag-raising ceremonies, the Golden Arrowhead was hoisted at 2 p.m. on Friday, May 25th, at the Independence Park. The grand cultural display by mainly students from across the country chronicled Guyana's development over the last 52 years while promoting the country's Green State strategy. President David Granger, in commemoration of the country's 52nd independence anniversary, said the freedom the country has attained was born under the back of ancestors.
Independence was the future for which our foreparents fought but did not enjoy. Their struggle, inspired by workers' agitation, embraced all social classes and gained political momentum with the introduction of constitutional change and the achievement of universal adult suffrage. Independence, once achieved, enabled the elimination of the worst forms of discrimination, the extension of universal primary and secondary education, and the emergence of local economic enterprises, among other changes. Independence ushered in an era of national pride, which was buoyed by developments in Guyanese society.
The head of state reminded of the country's potentials and its journey towards achieving a green state. Independence, he said, must be valued and safeguarded, as it has laid the foundation for a more democratic society.
Roundabouts. Approaching a roundabout. When you approach a roundabout, you must use your indicator if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn at the roundabout. You must give other road users sufficient notice of your intent to turn. Entering a roundabout. When entering a roundabout, you must slow or stop to give way to any vehicle already in the roundabout. You must also continue to use your indicators if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn. Turning left. When turning left, you must indicate left on approach and be travelling in the left-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Stay in the left lane and exit in the left lane. Turning right. When turning right, you must indicate right on approach and be travelling in the right-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Making a U-turn. When using a roundabout to make a U-turn, you must approach in the right lane and signal right. Changing lanes in a roundabout. Drivers may change lanes in a roundabout if they wish. The usual road rules for changing lanes apply. You must use your indicator and give way to any vehicle in the lane you are entering. Going straight ahead. You don't need to signal when approaching the roundabout if you are going straight ahead. You may approach the roundabout from either the left or right lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Exiting a roundabout. As when you exit a road, you must signal left when leaving a roundabout, if it is practical to do so, and you should stop indicating as soon as you have exited the roundabout. However, when you are travelling straight ahead on a small single-lane roundabout, it may be impractical to indicate when exiting.
Guyana's future is looking bright. Working together, we can, as a people, achieve our motto of one people, one nation, and one destiny. Happy independence from all of us at the Department of Public Information. Goodbye.